Music by itself doesn't stand alone, right? Like that's not good enough for you to be successful. Like it needs to be, what's your brand, what's your identity, what's your movement, like what are you telling people so that they want to be a part of what you're doing. We all know that talent is not the only thing, and arguably it's not even the most important thing for you to be successful. Even if you're like the best at you're like the dopest rapper, right? You got bars, like crazy lyrics and the way you deliver it, all that stuff. If you're doing that the same way that somebody else is doing it, it's gonna be a problem because that market is already saturated. Honestly, what you need to do is create your own lane. The music half of it, right? So like creatively, like, okay, so like your beats sound a certain way, the music sounds a certain way, but then the other part of that too is your story, your background, your message, right? You'll hear people refer to this as branding, right? That's just like another way of saying this, right? Okay, so here's a good example of creating your own lane, like Drake. Like when he first came out at that time, most of the rappers really that were out were not like emotional and like, he's talking about relationships and how he feels sad, right? And it's like people are like clowning him, right? You see all these memes of like Drake like looking sad or whatever, and he's like crying while looking out the window, or all that kind of stuff, right? Got made fun of a lot, but he basically created that lane in hip hop. He's being himself, right? He's being that image. He's staying in that lane that he created for himself that works perfectly for him. That's really the only way to be successful. You can't be like, if you're gonna try to like be Chris Brown, you're gonna lose. Like Chris Brown is really good at being Chris Brown, right? You can't do that. There's no fucking way, like it's not possible. So what you need to do is be like, okay, cool, I can sing and I can dance, but like, here's my twist on it. Here's my story. Here's how my music is different. And then it's those two things. It's the music itself, and then it's also your message. What's the thing that you want to tell people so that they want to be a part of what you're doing? Whatever it is, whether if it's like, hey, I feel emotions, and that's sort of the Drake route, or maybe it's that you're hard as fuck and you'll fucking kill people or whatever. Like that's what your lane is, but it starts from like the authentic you, and then it's just amplifying that piece of that authentic you. Really what we're talking about is branding. So branding shouldn't be hard, right? If it's really hard, you're doing it wrong, because what you should, if it's really hard, it means that you're trying to be something you're not. Like, don't do that. Take a piece of you that already is part of you and that you believe in and you can get behind, and just amplify that piece, talk about that, show that in your music, when you're talking to your fans, everywhere, and that's going to be what people are going to associate with you, and that's why they're going to want to associate with you, because they're like, oh, I resonate with that. I can relate to what you're saying. Like I felt that way.